All right, well, Senator Marco Rubio pointed out one of the big challenges right now is getting supplies into Puerto Rico, especially when it comes to cargo ships that could bring badly needed heavy machinery and construction supplies. Joining me right now is attorney Scott Wagner, who specializes in maritime law. Scott, first of all, thank you for coming out here.
Thank you.
What are the challenges faced in simply putting badly needed supplies on a ship and sending it to Puerto Rico?
Well, not all ships are allowed to simply go to Puerto Rico to deliver goods. Most of them are foreign flag vessels that are first coming in to the United States, and under the antiquated Jones Act, which are cabotage laws that prevent foreign flag vessels from delivering goods from port to port inside the United States, they're typically required to offload their goods in Jacksonville or other ports, put them onto newly U.S. flagged vessels, and then move them down from the United States to Puerto Rico, where they can be delivered on U.S. flagged vessels.
So it takes longer to send cargo on a ship to Puerto Rico, and I hear from Puerto Ricans, I've been hearing this for many years from Puerto Ricans, that everything on the island is more expensive because of that law. Is that a valid complaint?
It's much more expensive. You hear estimates up to 50% greater price for goods typically than are delivered to other islands as a result of this, neighboring islands. The issue down there is that they have been complaining about this for years. They've been complaining about it with respect to their debt. And this is an economy that's been wounded from the get-go. So now with Hurricane Maria hitting them, they're in a really bad space, and the Jones Act in this situation is really choking them badly.
I know there are members of Congress who have asked the president or Congress to allow a waiver of the Jones Act. How difficult is that?
So waivers are not granted often, but they have been granted in certain instances. For instance, in Hurricane Irma, there was a limited waiver, and Hurricane Harvey to allow for fuel delivery where there were shortages. And so it's something that has been done recently. It's not something that's done lightly, but in this situation where things are so dire and the humanitarian situation is at a breaking point, it's probably one that should be greatly considered, and not just about whether we have enough U.S. vessels to deliver goods down there, but are we getting it there at the cheapest possible price?
And would a waiver really make a difference in your view?
I think a waiver in this situation would make a difference down there. I think the people in Washington tend to measure things in months, but people in Puerto Rico right now are measuring things in minutes. And so as efficient and economically as we can move human resources as well as cargo down there to help in those efforts, I think we should be doing those things as quickly as possible.
Right, there definitely is a call for that. Scott Wagner, thank you very much.
Thank you
for joining us. Scott Wagner, a maritime attorney here in South Florida. Guys, back to you.